Elena, a wingless flower fairy, and her puffball friend Bibble watch their fairy friend Dandelion fly with three pixies. The pixies make fun of Elena for having no wings, but Elena ignores their taunting. Dandelion, however, defends Elena by fluttering her wings so hard that the small pixies are blown away. They later come back to warn Dandelion and Elena to go home, where it's safe. This is so they don't get kidnapped by someone named Laverna, who is already rumored to have kidnapped a fairy named Topaz. Elena thinks that Laverna is a myth, but Dandelion is unsure, so she goes home to ask her mother. Elena and Bibble go back to Peony, where her flower home is. Elena talks to Bibble about what the pixies said, but she thinks Topaz is too powerful to get kidnapped, as she is a guardian. Bibble is asleep, and Elena is still feeling uneasy, but Peony plays a lullaby for her, and she falls asleep. However, Topaz really has been kidnapped by Laverna. Laverna plans to kidnap all of the guardians, and then take over Fairytopia. Laverna calls her minions, fungus, who reveal Laverna's formula. It had the power to weaken every flying creature in Fairytopia if they breathed it in. They would become so weak they would lose the power to fly. As she speaks, Lavina's minions are in all 7 regions of Fairytopia and unleashing the formula. She thinks no one can stop her, as she is the only one with an antidote. Her main plan is to give everyone the antidote, and then everyone will love her for it and let her be their queen. In the morning, Bibble has to wake up Elena because Peony didn't sing to wake them up. Elena goes outside and sees that Peony, as well as all the other fairy homes, are sick. Dandelion comes to see Elena and tells her that some of the fairies are having trouble flying, and Topaz is gone. The closest guardian is Azura, and she is far away, in Fairytown. Elena thinks that she has to go to Fairytown to see Azura, but Dandelion doesn't think it is a good idea. Elena has never left the meadow before, and it takes hours to get to Fairytown, even if you have wings. Elena really thinks she can't actually get there, but Bibble and Dandelion volunteer to join her, and they leave the magic meadow. The trio enter a spooky forest and Dandelion flies up high to see if she can see a way out. When she is higher up, she breathes in some of Laverna's formula and can't fly. Elena realizes that Dandelion is getting sick, and it would be too hard for Dandelion to walk like Elena, as Elena was used to walking. She urges Dandelion to go home before dark to avoid panicking her mother, so Dandelion leaves Elena and Bibble. Meanwhile, Laverna has kidnapped another guardian, Ruby. He remains loyal to the Enchantress, Laverna's sister, and the ruler of Fairytopia. Laverna shows Topaz and Ruby the state the Enchantress is in, and it turns out she is very weak because of the formula. Laverna urges Ruby to take advantage of her hospitality, like Topaz, who keeps eating food from Laverna. Elena and Bibble get out of the forest and encounter a new place where all of the flowers are wilting. Elena jumps up to one of the highest flowers to get a view of the horizon. Bibble flies in front of a flower that is like a tunnel, so they go inside it. At the end of the tunnel is the city hall of Fairytown, but it is closed. They tell the man there that they need to see Azura, but she is not there. A pixie named Larkspur comes and the man working in the city hall tells him that Ruby, and another guardian named Amethyst, have been kidnapped. He has to find Azura immediately, so Elena and Bibble take advantage of this and follow him. Elena and Bibble grab onto a flower and it floats after Larkspur, but they crash. They see Azura's house, but it is surrounded by guards. Elena and Bibble hide in a flower, but Azura spots them and tells them to leave. Elena tells Azura that they came all the way from Fairytopia, so Azura tells Elena to come closer. She sees a rainbow in Elena's eye for a second, and is shocked. She invites Elena into her house, and gives her food and shelter. Azura tells Elena that the rainbow in her eyes means she is destined for great things. When Elena goes to bed, Azura tells her that all of Fairytopia is in trouble and it is down to Laverna. In the morning she will leave to speak to a dryad named Dahlia, who lives in the Wildering Wood. Azura asks Elena to take care of her necklace. In the morning, Azura wakes up Bibble and asks him to find Hue, who lives in the south. He needs to be given an important scroll. After that, Azura is about to leave but is kidnapped by Fungus. Elena looks outside when she wakes up and sees that the guards have been tied up. A stout fairy thinks Elena has caused the trouble, so Elena runs away and gets helped by Hue, who has large wings and carries Elena to the wildering wood. In Lavena's lair, the Fungus arrive with Azura, and Lavena notices that Azura isn't wearing her necklace. The Fungus tell Lavena that Wingless Fairy had it. Lavena realizes that Elena wouldn't be affected by the formula, as she couldn't fly. All of the Fungus are ordered to find Elena. Meanwhile, Hue tells Elena that after a day they will be in the wildering wood. However, they encounter some of Lavena's firebirds. To escape them, Hue flies off a rainbow-colored waterfall into a cove. Hue disturbs some relaxing mermaids when he flies too low, including Prince Nalu. Prince Nalu yells at Hue, but stops when he sees Elena. Hue insists that the firebirds won't come down as they hate water, but they do. Prince Nalu throws them some special seaweed that will let them breathe underwater, so they all eat some. They swim with Prince Nalu to safety and he points them to the wildering wood. The prince hopes he can see Elena again, leading to Bibble making fun of them. They get on Hue but he breathes in some of Lavena's formula and Elena orders him to land so he can rest. She asks Bibble to stay with Hue and she goes to find Dahlia by herself. When Elena is by herself, she begins doubting herself and comparing herself to Azura, a great guardian. Some happy trolls appear who will lead Elena to Dahlia. They go a long way, but still only see sick trees. Azura's necklace starts glowing and it calls Dahlia. The happy trolls leave and Dahlia says she can't help Elena. She doesn't want to help the guardians as the last time she tried to help them, none of them believed she was good except for Azura, as she had been working with Lavena. Azura believed that Dahlia would know how to defeat Lavena because of this, but Dahlia doesn't want to risk herself for Fairytopia. Elena convinces her otherwise and they go back to Hue and Bibble. Hue and Bibble insist on coming with Elena and Dahlia and they start to go after Lavena. In Lavena's lair, she has all the guardians kidnapped. Lavena places a crystal in her throne and the guardians' necklaces feel the presence of Azura's necklace, which is with Elena. Lavena knows she is near, so she orders the Fungus to get her. Dahlia tells Elena that, when she had left Lavena, Lavena had created a device that used the strength of her royal bloodline to suck the powers from the fairy guardians' necklaces, and transfer them to herself. She doesn't know how it works, but she knew that the union point would be the weakness. The group arrives at Lavena's lair, and they can't go in the air because of the firebirds. Their plan is to go in and find the union point, but Elena wants to go by herself as she has Azura's necklace. While Elena is running over to the lair, she almost gets caught by the Fungus, but Hue flies in with Dahlia to distract them. When Bibble tries to distract them, he is captured. Elena makes it to the lair, and Dahlia, Bibble and Hue have been brought to Lavena by the Fungus. When the Fungus leave, Elena finds them and tells Lavena to let them go. Lavena will only let them go if Elena gives her the necklace, but she refuses. Lavena sees the rainbow in Elena's eye, and tells her she could have wings if she went to Lavena's side. With the wings Lavena gave her, Elena becomes brainwashed. Lavena tells Elena that, together, they can have what they want. Lavena will rule Fairytopia, and Elena will have wings, with everything in her world as she remembered it. Lavena tells Elena to put Azura's necklace around Azura's neck, and Elena will get everything she's ever wanted. The guardians' necklaces make them lose their powers and they start transferring to Lavena. Elena is just about to place Azura's necklace around her neck when Azura says, "For the friends you haven't met yet." This snaps Elena back to reality, and she sees that the union point is where the crystal is. She takes the necklace of Azura and throws it at the crystal, breaking it. The guardians get their powers back. Lavena, her throne, and her scepter disappear, and Bibble, Hue, and Dahlia are freed. The guardians are safe. Back in the magic meadow, the pixies are flying again, and everyone is glad to see Elena. Hue comes to see Elena, and so does the enchantress. She thanks Elena and her friends for saving everyone, and says that even if Elena may not need a gift for thanks, she still deserves one. The enchantress gives Elena a rainbow-colored necklace and flies away. The necklace begins to glow and Elena is granted her wish of her very own pair of beautiful pink wings. She flies with her own wings for the first time, and Elena, Dandelion, Hue and Bibble fly together off together.